Can the natural gas boom make the U.S. the world's #1 manufacturer? Many European companies are already rushing here to take advantage of cheaper gas, and they're opening plants and factories here in the United States. In fact, the U.S. average natural gas price last month was just about a quarter of the natural gas price in Europe, just a fifth of the natural gas price in Japan. With more factories switching over to gas power, it's an easy cost-cutting decision to move manufacturing into the United States. When was the last time anyone ever said that? Here now is Addison Armstrong. He's Tradition Energy Director of Market Research and CNBC contributor. Bernard Whitman is still with us, as is Mark Simone. Addison, this is all because of the shale gas revolution that's happening in the United States, right?
It certainly is. You know, we've got some amazingly low prices on a relatively historic basis, even for this country. But what's really spurring this is, as you mentioned, the big spread between what gas costs here for manufacturing and what it costs in Europe and in Asia.
And how many manufacturing jobs do you think that adds to the United States?
You know, I looked at the figures today, and I think it's probably somewhere around 200 to 300,000, which is on the lower end of the spectrum. That sort of matches the American Chemistry Council's numbers, where you've got Price Waterhouse, who thinks it's worth $1 million. Now, that said, there is a multiplier effect that goes along with this when you build out big gas to liquids plants or LNG export facilities. So even if those plants are only hiring 100 or 200 permanent workers, you know, sometimes you get a multiplier effect of 7 or 8 jobs that support those main facilities. So I think 200,000 to 300,000 is a good number.
Mark Simone, is this as revolutionary as I think it is?
Oh, it could be, but it's not too late for us to screw this up. In fact, here in New York State, our governor has been too slow to act, talking about over-regulating this whole industry. There's very safe fracking that goes on, and there can be very dangerous
We should highlight that for people. When we talk about the shale gas revolution, the people who are very negative about it call it fracking, and very derisively, right? So this is about fracking.
It's done in 30 states. It's often done in a very safe manner. It can be done in a dangerous manner. It needs to be regulated, but not over-regulated. And I think we've scared some companies out of New York State, and we better be careful not to do that around the country. This is a great opportunity for finally, for once, to be energy independent in this country.
Are you as excited as we are, Bernard?
This is a huge endorsement of the Obama administration's strategy over the last 4.5 years. Why? Every year under Obama, natural gas production has gone up. It's reached an all-time high. We're expected to become a net energy exporter in 2014. He just appointed to U.S. Energy Secretary and EPA proponents of fracking. This doesn't just happen magically. We have had leadership under this administration, and it's added a huge number of jobs, and it's leading the manufacturing revolution in the United States.
The increase is happening on the non-federal lands, right? The federal lands, it's either flat or down.
No, but we have a guy in the Oval Office who understands you can marry sound business practices with good environmental policy. That equals natural gas obtained through fracking. So we get clean energy, you add jobs. I mean, there's a plant that's going to open.
You're suggesting Como in New York is regulating too much. How do you feel about President Obama?
I think one of the problems with President Obama, he does a lot more talking than acting, and he's great at being a proponent, a speaker, but he's not great at getting it done and making it happen.
It's gotten done. What do you mean? The jobs are here.
Addison, are we drilling more oil and natural gas because of President Obama or despite President Obama?
I think it's neither one of those. Look, this isn't happening on federal lands. This is happening due to private innovation, private entrepreneurship of large and small companies all over the country. And, you know, hydrofracturing has been going on in this country for 40 years. Yes, it's only taken off in the last 8. But, you know, this is not something that I think you can directly attribute to policies coming out of the White House.
But if he wanted to stop it, he could have. Couldn't he?
Yeah, and we've become the great innovators in new technology for better ways of fracking. We've got to capitalize on that. And also, you know, the one thing about this gas, it's not really exportable. It's too expensive and too difficult to export. So that's not going to be.
That's why the manufacturing has to come here.
Exactly.
And we finally are becoming an onshoring of jobs rather than an offshore of jobs. I mean, people are moving jobs here from Asia, from Europe. Construction on these plants can create 10,000 jobs in one fell swoop. So I think it is a huge boon for the economy, and frankly, leadership from the White House has played, I think, a significant role.
Well, this administration has a great technique for getting business here. He's driven down the economy, which has driven down prices here.
I think that was George W. Bush, but we're not going to go backwards.
Oh, we're not going to do that. All right. Hey, Addison, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Sure thing, Michelle.
Addison Armstrong.